Three, two, one, and we are live. What's up, everybody? It's Tyler with Hook Sets Are Free. Hope you guys are having a good one. It is a little after 9 o'clock my time, Mountain Standard Time, 11 o'clock Eastern on Monday, December the 5th, 2022. So, hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. I haven't been on since Thanksgiving. So, um, very thankful for all of you guys and the small community that we've got here. I believe I said that on the last stream that I was on about a week and a half ago, but I'll give people just a moment or two to hop in here and join us. And try and clear the glass of the water from just a hair of melted ice. Let me see if I've got this set up properly. And I don't know. I'm gonna have to give you guys a minute to see if anybody is notified of the stream or not, because we are going on a little over a minute. Nobody's in here. Chicken fried steak. What's up, my man? How you doing tonight? I don't see anybody else in here just yet, so we're gonna give people just a couple minutes to trickle in, and then I have a very special unboxing to share with you. Sweet little package that I got from some Black Friday, or shall I say Cyber Monday shopping at the Hookup Tackle. So pretty excited to open that up with you guys. Not too much, man. Just super busy socializing this time of year for whatever reason during the holidays. Been seeing a ton of friends and family. So I see that as a good thing, but just means that life feels a little bit chaotic at the moment. Tennessee Bassmaster, what's up, dude? How you doing? All right, I hear you, dude. Just happened to click on the bell. Interesting. Okay, well, I wonder if people aren't getting notifications or what, but should we just give people a couple minutes? I think, I told some people on Instagram in the group chat over there that I was going to be hopping on. So here we go. We got Caro in the house. What's up, Caro? How you doing tonight? Good to see you in here. I've got a little package to unbox. So, Caro, did you get a notification on YouTube, or did you just check because of my message on Instagram? Because I am curious, and yeah, I'm not. You made that comment about the Hellraiser chicken fried steak, and you made me want to take another look at it. Because I haven't had a chance to fish it yet. And this bait is definitely different than I thought it was going to be, right? So I managed to get it from Discount Tackle, not only on sale, but in the two colors that I like best. So we've got matte black and bone. It's got this matte black blade on it, but overall, this bait is actually smaller and skinnier than I thought it would be. Size-wise, it's probably about the same size or even a little skinnier than like a Shower Blows 105, almost more like a Shower Blows Shorty, the 77, just a little bit longer than that. So it's very interesting, slim profile, but I have no doubt that it's going to do well with the type of action that it has, just skittering on the surface like that. So I'm interested, and we'll definitely give it a go next year come topwater season, which for me, I'll start throwing it as early as May. But really, for me, I get out a couple times in March, and then April starts warming up, and then May is kind of full go. The fish are in all phases at that point. Fish are starting to spawn, but really are moving up and feeding more heavily. So that is when I can start catching them on top water, but not necessarily like crazy. Chicken Fried Steak says, got a notification. Okay, good to know. Riley is in the house. What's up, Riley? How are you doing? Best wishes and happy holidays to you as well. Black Friday sales are the best, aren't they? This was actually, I think, a Cyber Monday deal that I'm going to open right now. But um, if you guys remember, I opened the rod that I bought during Black Friday from the Hookup Tackle. And with that purchase of the rod came a gift card to the Hookup Tackle. So this is me spending that gift card just a few short days later, right after the Black Friday sale was a Cyber Monday sale from the Hookup. So that's what we're going to unbox here in just a second. Ryan S. in the house. What's up, Ryan? How you doing? Close enough. You guys are funny. So I am going to crack open a little bit of Buffalo Trace this evening. Super delicious. One, I wouldn't necessarily say one of my favorites, but part of that is the hype around this bourbon and the fact that it ends up selling on like the black market, the resale market for way more than it's worth. So for what it costs, I think it's a good value bourbon. It's like 25, not quite $30 a bottle. But liquor stores do put a limit on like one per customer. So it's kind of silly. But Buffalo Trace, cheers. It's pretty mellow. I want to say it's like 45 proof. Yeah, or 45%, 90 proof. So a little bit mellower than what I typically drink, but still has some good bite and is delicious nonetheless. Riley says, I'm okay. Me and my mom got into a car accident and I have 2 compression fractures on my L3 and L4. Oh my gosh, Riley. I am so sorry to hear that. That's brutal. Still fishing and shooting. You're crazy. Is that safe at all for you to be shooting with compression fractures in your back? And believe me, I understand the discomfort, shall I say, also pain that comes with compression fractures um, on your thoracic spine. So I'm so sorry. Well, yours is your not your thoracic, but uh, your L, the L part of your back. I'm an idiot. I'm so sorry, Riley. I will be praying for you and your mom. Hope your mom's okay. Please let us know in the comments. I will be praying for you and a speedy recovery, but I am so sorry to hear about the accident. Golly, Riley, I feel for you. And yeah, let me know if you need any lidocaine patches. I will just tell you, lidocaine has become my friend in times of need. And I don't use it often, but whenever I overdo it, that's the ticket for me these days instead of painkillers. Chicken fried steak. Oh my gosh. Well, at least we're not alone in all of our back problems, guys. That's crazy. Yeah, full torso brace. I hear you. Well, do you remember the days when I was doing that on stream 2 years ago? Your mom got a little burn on her arm from the airbag. Okay, well, good to hear that she's okay. Whew. Brock Taylor says we all need to chip in and get him a box cutter. LOL. Dude, I have a knife. I just didn't bring it down. I carry it on me daily. I don't always have it in my pocket. It's up in my office right now. So yeah, you always see me using hooks to get the unboxing started. But guys, we got some cool stuff in here. This is all JDM, all from the Hookup Tackle, and was all a screaming deal. So I don't think that we're going to be able to see exactly what I paid here for each of these items, which is unfortunate. It makes me want to pull up the email confirmation to be able to tell you guys the deals that I got, because some of these I actually purchased due to the deals being so good, you know, uh, couldn't help myself. So let me see if I can find out what it was that I paid. Here we go. All right, all right. So first up, um, let's go hard in the paint and talk about big baits first. So this was my main purchase and what I had my sights set on the entire time. This has been on my I don't know whether to call it a wish list or just on my radar for a long time now. And this is a glide bait that has a really good reputation among swim baiters. And this is the Gancraft Jointed Claw 178. Okay. And this is a super cool color that is called Gatchicon White. Of course, it's not labeled anywhere on the package itself. And as you would suspect, almost the entire packaging is all in Japanese. So a little bit difficult to understand much on here, but it does tell you right here that this is the type F or floating class of this bait. And let's see if we can get that to focus for you. This is 178 millimeters and 2 ounces. So very average sized bait in this category. So a very mid-sized glide bait that can be thrown on either traditional gear or a light dedicated swim bait setup. So I will throw this on my Dobyns 795 SB. And look at that. I had no idea that the belly was so insane on this thing. This is one of those things that like you wouldn't necessarily know until you actually get your hands on this bait. What you see more from the side profile is this, and you can see a hint of the dark belly, but you never see this entire hit of just how dramatic that is. And that is cool. So you get that white back and that black flashy belly, and then a transparent flashy side. So very cool color pattern, but this is a smooth glide bait that does not have a tremendously wide glide, but it's known to be quiet and smooth and just get bit really well. So this is a floating glide bait, which is not necessarily how I always do things. I do prefer kind of a super slow sink, but my thought process with this guy was one, the floating was the only version available, not the slow sink. So I was kind of out of luck. I probably would have bought the slow sink if I had the option between the two. But my justification, aside from just loving this color and wanting the bait, was thinking that I will weight this bait to either slow float or to suspend to give it a slightly different action than the majority of the glide baits that I already throw. So I am very excited about this guy. It was the most expensive portion of the purchase by a while. The bait retails at $69.99, I want to say, and it was on sale from Black Friday, not for Cyber Monday, but I was able to retroactively get that price, so it was like 20% off. I paid $56 for this guy, so not a cheap purchase, but also a pretty good deal for what it is, right? Now, moving on to something that, in my opinion, is a better deal than that. And really, the reason that I purchased this guy was the deal itself. Okay. This guy is the IMA Glide Fluke 178. And I've got this bait in one other color already, and I like it quite a lot. It's different, right? This is known to be more of a striper bait, kind of like the Sabile Magic Swimmer. Even though this is a single jointed bait, not a multi-jointed bait, it does have a little bit of a different action to it. But this is the bigger size. They make this in like a 135 and then this bigger 178. You'll notice it only has 2 hooks on it, which isn't necessarily my preference, but I do really like the action of this bait. For what it is, this bait is an amazing value at its full retail price. Just to spec it out, this thing weighs 2.5 ounces for this floating version and 2.8 ounces for the slow sink version. Now, this is a fully transparent ghost trout pattern, and that is a big part of why I got this, was to have another rainbow trout pattern to imitate stock trout, but one that has a slightly different action than the rest that I already have. So the reason I picked it up was the deal. All right. This thing, like I said, is already an amazing deal at its full retail price, but this thing was like 30% off or something crazy. I bought this for $13.29. So it's like I couldn't help it. I bought it because of the deal, and I don't know if there's many other things like that in here. I just happened to get kind of lucky with a few of the other things coming up. So here's another one that was kind of an impulse purchase for me. This is a new bait to the market worldwide. So this is the OSP Doe Live Crawler Slim. And I think as of right now, they're only making it in this one size. So eventually, it won't just be the 8.6. They'll make this in smaller and maybe even like one size bigger than this. But 8.6 inches, this is a pretty long worm, as you can see. And it's super, super thin. So the Doe Live Crawler Slim 8.6 inch. Now, there's a few different things that you can do with this worm, and I guess what it is designed to do. And first and foremost, as you would suspect, this is a Neko rig worm. So you're going to nail weight the nose, and you're going to throw a wacky style hook somewhere in the middle of the bait and shake this thing around on bottom. But let's see if they've got any other rigging techniques. They're suggesting that you can wacky rig this thing in a few different sections. And I wish I could interpret this fairly well. You guys might be able to know better than I, but let's see here. Can we get it to focus for you? Maybe. See, it doesn't want to because of the ribs and the worm, but it's telling you that you can rig it in the middle here or one section lower here for a slightly different action. And it's like it's got 2 separate egg sacs in this bait. So if it were to focus for us, you'll notice that this bait has an egg sac right here and then another one down just below it. You probably just saw that. one up here, one down here. I don't know how well that's showing up on camera, but apparently you'll get a different action, more of a traditional wacky, a weightless wacky rig here, and then more of maybe a Nico rig here. I do like to traditionally rig my Nico worms a little bit higher than most, but this is a really cool bait that's new on the market that made me wonder. Um, the MMZ from OSP, I think, is going to be more of a traditional weightless wacky or drop shot wacky worm, and the Dolive crawler, I think, is going to be more of a dead action wacky rig for slower movement and less movement. And I think it's going to be more of a Nico rig style bait. So this is a really interesting bait just because of how slim it is, and one that I'm excited to have in my arsenal and give a go. Now, I'm kind of surprised at the fact that there are like 8 or 10 baits in a pack here. Let me count these up for you. There's 10 in a pack here. So this is actually a really good deal for what it is. And these were on sale for $5.99. So again, this was a deal that I couldn't pass up given what it was. That bait wasn't even fully on my radar. It probably retails at $10.99, and it was almost 50% off. So I pulled the trigger on it. What can you do? You know? Tennessee Bassmaster says Amazon has Revo Rockets for 200 and STX is for 136. Nice. Nice. Yeah, those are good deals for sure. I've got a Revo STX and I like it. No, Riley, that is, I wish I could tell you the color. It's called Manami Mimizu. This is a very natural worm color, kind of like an earthworm style color. But no, definitely not plum. Okay. Plum is more purple slash red than anything. Okay. Ryan says, does it have that shrimp smell also? Indeed, it does. Yes, it does. I can't believe I didn't notice before. It's not particularly potent unless you do what I just did and you shove your nose inside the bag. But yes, it is. All right, so next up in soft plastic land, that also was an unplanned purchase, but makes me want to utilize the power of StreamYard and show you guys something real quick. But this is an interesting bait that came onto my radar as I was randomly shopping around on the hookup. A lot of us end up watching the weekly, what's new at the hookup videos, and they're so dense, right? It's easy to let a product kind of pass you through, or pass you by rather. And this was one of them for me until I passed back around it. And this is the Volley Swimmer by Bottom Up. And this is just a soft plastic boot tail swim bait that at first glance is exactly what I just said. It looks like an ordinary boot tail swim bait. Okay. However, this thing has a unique body shape to it that is triangular, and it's upside down. Okay, so it is widest on bottom, and then it is narrow, triangular from the top. Okay, and this gives the bait a very unique action that I could probably only explain by showing you. You'll notice that this does not have a super stiff tail. but it does have a super soft and salty soft plastic. So the action on these baits is insane. So this is a 4.2-inch size, which for me is kind of an ideal trailer size. Really good for swim jigs and for chatterbaits. And specifically, it was chatterbaits that had my attention with this bait. Or maybe it was swim jigs. I can't remember. I guess we will relive that feeling in just a second. So I got this in like a green pumpkin chartreuse, which I don't throw this color a lot except for in the jackhammer chatterbait and in the evergreen grass ripper in the bee height delight color. And then I got this more standard, like shaddy type of color that is called smoky shad with just a hint of purple on it. But let's try and pull up the video of the action on this bait so you guys can see just kind of what triggered in my brain and why I pulled the trigger on these baits. So we got Rich in the house. Hellabass, what's up, Rich? How you doing tonight, man? Let me try and pull up this bait right here. Who's heard of this bait? And what do you know and think about it? Because we're going to pull up this video and you're going to see the absolute wild ass thing. You know, you look at a paddle tail swim bait, and these days, you know, they all kind of start to blur together a little bit. And it's unfortunate because once you've bought, you know, more than a couple of the same style bait, then you're not using 80% or more of the ones that you've got. So it's really cool to come across baits with the same profile, but with totally different types of action, whether the bait rocks side to side, has a lot of roll, or has kind of a hump, kind of wiggling type of action. But check this thing out. I am going to share my screen and show you guys the craziness that is this bait. Okay. Let's look. Oh, is it not going to in the stream? Come on, baby. It's probably going to load an ad. Look at that thing. That right there. Okay. 15 seconds. We're going to watch this again. That roll side to side. That is so much more tail action than you would ever expect out of a bait like that at a medium to fast speed. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. That bait has an insane roll to it. Kind of unlike the action of this bait right here, the River to Sea D Walker, which has an insane rock front to back. This bait has a really cool roll side to side. And I think on a swim jig, as well as potentially on a chatterbait, that could be a very appealing action. So for me, this guy on a swim jig was kind of what I had in mind, as well as just on a standalone underspin or beast hook, or just because of the profile, I think it would take really well on a wide variety of jig heads that are exposed, whether it's an underspin or just a straight jig head itself. But I'm excited about that bait. And, you know, it's one that wasn't on my radar until I started digging around. Bottom Up is a company that the Hookup has really been pushing over the last few months. I haven't tried a single of their things, but I do trust the Hookup a fair amount. So there have been a number of brands like OSP and a few others that I have gone down the rabbit hole to a certain extent because of places like the hookup. So let me catch up on the comments. We got Matt in here. What's up, dude? How you doing? Interesting, Riley. So you've heard of those, and your fishing partner uses them, huh? Rich, I'm sorry I didn't mute that, dude. Yeah, I thought about it as it was going off. It was pretty loud, that background feedback. I apologize for that. All right, so Matt, you're on the mend, dude. Well, not the body pains have gone away, but that's good. You know, COVID is it sucks, dude. Me and my family are just like now fully in the clear. We were early to mid week this past week, and yeah, it thank God, you know, it took us like a full 10 days to get through and over it. So let's keep moving on. But Matt says the Volley is a good EWG paddle tail. It's not the best for a jig because it affects the action that it was intended for. More of a non-weighted EWG. Really? Okay, so just more typically meant to be fished high in the water column as an unweighted bait. I didn't necessarily know that, but that's good to know. I'm probably still going to try it on a swim jig because that's what I visualized as I saw the bait. But I appreciate you mentioning and imparting some of your wisdom. I agree with that, chicken fried steak. Dude's got a ton of knowledge, and it's fun to learn, right? So next up, guys. Next up, we got more soft plastics, and these guys were on my radar. Okay. This guy right here is the Imakatsu or Imakatsu, however you'd like to pronounce it, the Huddle Fat Fly. I had kind of gone back and forth about these baits and which one to try. This is their smallest one, the Fat Fly, 2.8 inches. So really small bait here, and it comes 4 to a pack. I had considered getting the bigger, I forget what they call them, the Huddle Swimmer. That they come in like a 4 and a 4.5 inch size. These, on the other hand, this is a slightly different style bait, meant to be fished a little bit more either on a drop shot or perhaps on like an Okashira screwhead or something of the sort. So this is a elastomer style bait, and it is absolutely beautiful. This totally clear color pattern. This color pattern is called Ghost Shad. And so as you can see, they've utilized the Huddleston tail design here. Have some sort of partnership with Huddleston. And this is a beauty. So yeah, I'll fish this primarily on a drop shot, but perhaps on something like an Okashira screwhead. You know, I could see that being a good presentation. Just slow rolling this straight through the middle of the water column, I could see being a deadly technique for this bait being the Huddle Fat Fly. So, beautiful color. I did not think that the Ghost Shad was going to be quite as nice as it actually is. So that is a pleasant surprise and one that I'm excited about. This bait was on my radar, but was kind of in and out of my cart a bunch of times. And again, it was the deal on Cyber Monday that pushed me over the edge. So this bait right here was on sale from, I want to say, $20 a pack to $11.99. So at roughly 40% off, I decided to pull the trigger on those guys and give it a spin. Now, okay, I've got two baits in here that I did open, I think recently. I think I got one of these, but I've got two of the Megabass Mag Slow, okay? The Mag Slow. And specifically in this little 5-inch version. So the Mag Slow is a bait that is primarily a JDM bait, not a US domestic market bait. The Mag Draft is much more popular here in the US, but I'm spilling stuff everywhere. But the Mag Slow is known to be a bait that you can fish at slower and faster speeds than you can with the Mag Draft. So the Mag Draft is a little bit more speed sensitive, we'll say. It has more of a sweet spot that when you hit that sweet spot, it has this ideal action with the tail and the head and the body all working together that attracts the fish. The Mag Slow, on the other hand, is a bait that can be burned or can be slow rolled, and you'll still get the same unique tail action. You get a little bit of a rise in the tail, but you get this feathered treble that attaches to the belly, just like on the Mag Draft. So I picked up two colors this go around, and of course they're beautiful. Kita Bass, and DO Clear. So I'm going to open the clear one for you. The specs on this, 5 inches, 7/8 of an ounce. So this is a very lightweight bait at under 1 ounce. You can throw this thing on whatever you want. So let's go ahead and crack this bad boy open and show you all the internals of this bait, because this color is completely clear. How about that? Unbelievable. I don't think I've seen a soft plastic bait quite this clear ever. So you'll notice it's got the same magnet hook system as the Mag Draft and the same slot to go ahead and slide your hook in here. Same slot right in this section of the bait that is hollow for your hook to rest in, okay? And this is a good time to show you how sometimes I like to go one step further and tuck the hook into the body of the bait there, so it's actually not going to pull out unless you set the hook, in which case it is going to pull out of the bait. But that will ensure that it does stay in there, but you'll slowly tear the bait. And you can see I made a little bit of a mark inside the center of the bait there. So anyway, this is a beautiful looking bait. You'll notice that the tail on this bait is quite a bit more significant than that of the Mag Draft, which maybe sits here, just has a little bit of wag to it. This has a much thinner tail and can be fished at much slower speeds. But an underrated part about this bait is its ability to fish fast. So either way, this was a bait that was not on my radar to pick up more of, but seeing that it was in stock in the 5-inch size, and on top of that was a good deal, I couldn't help it. So anyway, I'm going to set this aside since I'm making a fool out of myself, and I will put that away later. I'm just concerned about the tail. So those were on super sale as well, and were a hell of a deal. Got those puppies for $6.99 a pop. Okay, I mean, come on, $6.99. It's almost half off. So picked up two of them. Okay. Next up, And we're getting close to the end. But next up are two swim baits that I talked about on the last live stream. Matt mentioned these a little bit, I think. And I'm curious to have them and to try them. These are the GetNet Burrican Swimmers. Okay. So this guy right here is the Burrican Swimmer Junior. Looks like all you can read here is GetNet Cultiva 4.4 Junior GN14. So this is 113 millimeters and 23 grams. Tells you it comes with ST36 owner hooks, or hook rather, on this bait. So this is a Magdraft style swim bait that they are going to make me rip off the packaging. How annoying is that? Okay. Not too bad getting in. Wow. Oh, baby. Okie dokie. So let's re-talk about the specs here. This is 113 millimeters, 23 grams. So this has a size 2 hook on it. And this is a pretty small bait. Okay. We're talking 4.5 inches, 113 millimeters. This is not a big bait by any means. Okay. However, it does have quite a sensitive tail and a relatively big paddle tail for its body size. So those are a couple interesting things to note. Now, something that this bait is known for is not a magnet, but rather these fins on the side of the bait. These guys right here are meant to hold the points of the hook on the side of the bait. Okay. So as you're fishing this thing, it's got one hook point exposed below and two on the sides. And then when you set the hook, it just comes right out from these two fins on the bottom of the bait. But essentially, you just slide, or just tuck these rather, and pull your hook around these guys, and you're good to go. Okay. So very interesting method of rigging and setup there. I suppose you could tuck these hook points into the body of the bait itself, but this is a very thick bodied swim bait for what it is. And as you'll notice, not only does it have a really flashy, cool belly, but it's very flat on bottom. So this is going to be a bait that will skip really well. And this is a bait that will also have a decent amount of body roll, given that same shape that we just talked about with the Vollop swimmer. So I'm interested to try this. I think it's going to have a little bit more versatility than the Magdraft, seeing just how much tail the thing has. It's kind of insane. So I'm excited that I actually did pull the trigger on it, because I was a little bit hesitant for no particular reason. And I'm glad that that I got it. And I would recommend that you do as well. Okay. So I did pick this up in one color in each of the sizes. So this is a kind of a clear white color. They call it WIO, or HIUO. And it's a beaut. And then the other one is slightly bigger. You can see that this one is 137 millimeters, 32 grams. So a little bit closer to, that's a little over an ounce. So a little bit closer to the 6-ounce Magdraft in terms of weight, but this is a 5.4-inch bait, as opposed to the little guy being a 4.4-inch bait. So let's try and crack this guy open without damaging the packaging and see if that's even a possibility. No, it's not. Wow. So this is a very oily bait straight out of the pack, but it does just smell like plastic. It doesn't really have much scent on it. And this guy right here has quite a bit more density and mass to the body itself. So interesting. Um, I would say this bait feels heavier than it is at 32 grams. And this guy comes with a size 1 ST36 hook on it as well. So um, I have no doubt that the construction of this bait is really solid, and that the action is probably compelling. So this, you'll notice, has a slightly thicker tail than its little brother. I don't know how the action is going to compare necessarily. I think I remember Matt saying that the action on the bigger guy is slightly better than on the little brother, but I'm sure he's mentioning something about that in the comments right now, or at least I hope he is, so that we can talk just a hair about it. But the GetNet Burrican Swimmer was one that went onto my radar right after the guys at the hookup got them in stock, and I was hesitant. Almost pulled the trigger on them during Black Friday, and then ultimately did during Cyber Monday because they were still on sale. So $10.49 for the little guy, and same on the big guy, $10.50. So not super cheap, but a little bit cheaper than a Mag Draft. And for that, I definitely wanted to give it a try and at least see kind of how I feel about it compared to some of its competitors, right? So let me catch up on these comments. I apologize that I've been neglecting you guys to a certain extent. Bruce in the house. I ended up with a few Chapos for 467 each and a few Slobber Knockers for 840 each. That's a hell of a deal, Bruce. Nice, my man. Um, JP Harrell in the house. Sorry I didn't greet you. I missed you earlier when you came in. My bad, dude. Good to see you. Rich almost bought some of the regular Birkins. Okay. Um, well, you're kind of like me, keep your eyes open, but you can develop interest in things without always pulling the trigger. Now, of course, I did pull the trigger in this case, but that was because of the sale. Um, so yeah, I almost bought them already, and now I finally did. So Matt says, Tyler, they're also there to put water and keep the bait up in the water column as well. Wait, what's also there to put water? I'm not quite sure what you're talking to pull water or put water in. What are you referring to, Matt? Do tell. Oh, Tennessee Bassmaster, dude. Okay, this is like worth a pause for a second, okay? Because most people have done in some form or fashion a video so far in the last couple of weeks that is like my best and worst lures of 2022, etc. I was just thinking about that today and was thinking that the depths cover scat might actually be that bait for me that was kind of like the one that stole the show. So yes, I have a short answer and a long answer to your question. The short answer is yes, and the long answer is um, yes. The Yo, what in the heck, dudes? I'm in here. Can you hear me? Tell me right now that you can hear me, that I'm back. All right. To me, it looks like I'm back, but that was messed up. My internet just tripped balls, and I have no idea why or how that just happened. But, Rich, I guess that is your cue. You don't have to stay and talk about the cover scats. Have a great rest of your night, dude. But I do want to mention the cover scats. Okay, who was just asking about it? Who was asking? Tennessee Bassmaster said on the fence about ordering the cover scat. So, dude, I tried it. I made a point to pick up one pack in each size of the cover scat when I first tried it because I didn't know anything about the bait and I didn't know which I would like most. And quite honestly, you see the 2.5 inch and you think, oh, well, there's a whole lot more baits per pack. Technically speaking, the value is better there. But take a look at this. The 2.5 inch is a really small bait. Okay, this is like the size of my pinky. Almost exactly the size of my pinky. This thing will take about a size 1/0 hook. Okay, so you rig it in the nose section, come out mid body and tuck your hook in to this dimple on the top, right? So your hook tucks in here. This is a weightless EWG, or rather offset worm hook, but a weightless Texas rig style bait. Okay, the 2.5 inch is small, is pretty subtle, and gets bitten by a lot of fish, but doesn't have a ton of presence. Okay, I noticed a little bit of the same thing with the Geek Crack Bellows Gill last year. So what I noticed is that when you step up to the 3.5 inch size, that what you get is a much more substantial bait. You see that this one's actually been used and is fairly trashed. So you can see where come out the back. But this, relative to my finger, is about the size of my first finger, and it's fatter. So relative to the 2.5, this bait is significantly bigger. It dwarfs the little guy. Okay, all of a sudden it's like, wow, the 3.5 is okay, a big bait, but still manageable with about a 3 to 4/0 hook. So when in comparison, when you step up to the biggest size, the 4 inch, I mean, it feels overwhelmingly big. Okay, it's a massive nugget. Relative to fingers, it's bigger. Okay, um, it's as fat as my thumb, but it's longer than any of my fingers. At 4 inches, a big bait. You'll notice that it dwarfs its little brother that is 3.5 inches. It's just so much fatter, so much bigger all around. Okay. So the family of cover scats looks like so. You got small, medium, and large. And the large will take a 6/0 hook, no problem, and it will catch the biggest fish. The 3.5 is probably the best happy medium for fishing on a do everything type of setup. If you're fishing a 7-foot medium heavy with 15-pound line and you've got a 4/0 offset worm hook, the 3.5 is the way to go. But if you want to upsize the fish that you're catching, the 4-inch will still catch fish of all sizes, and in my opinion, is immediately is my confidence size. I will throw the 4-inch the most frequently moving forward, and the 2.5 the least frequently by a long shot. I found a way and a method this year in using the 2.8 inch Bellows Gill as a jig trailer that really surprised me. You know, I was pleasantly surprised with not only the action of it on a finesse jig, but just how well the fish ate it and how much better the quality of fish was that I caught on this as a jig trailer as opposed to by itself. But I don't know that the same is going to happen with the cover scat. I don't see personally a lot of different ways to rig the cover scat. In my opinion, it is a bottom fishing, weightless style bait that is meant to be twitched and dragged along the bottom. It has a very unique action that gets bit really well. So I encourage you to give them a whirl. You should no longer be on the fence about them after what I just told you. For 2022, it was the same thing that the Bellows Gill was for me in 2021. Pleasantly surprised by a long shot. Tackle Warehouse forced Bruce to buy 2 5-inch Senko and 2 4.5-inch beaver molds and an injector. Oh my goodness, dude. Bruce is going down the rabbit hole. There he goes. Okay, so the bottom fins on the Birkin swimmer push water. Okay, interesting. Now let me catch up on these comments. Sorry. Everything was wrong. Everything was wrong. You guys hear me? Sweet dreams, Rich. Matt says the 4-inch is his favorite as well because you can cast them far as hell. Yeah, dude, really far. Those things are super heavy, dense baits. Cover scats are sick. Okay. Does the cover scat float? No, it does not. It slow sinks. Okay. And I know you're making jokes, but it does have a really unique fall rate and shimmy to it as it falls. Okay. It has a slow sink that's probably 1 foot per 2 or 3 seconds. Pretty good. Joe, get your mind out of the gutter, bruh. Girthy turd. You right, you right. Tennessee Bassmaster. No, go 3.5, not 3-inch. If you're too lazy to buy big hooks, fine. Go with the 3.5. Do not go with that 2.8/3-inch, whatever it is. Get the 3.5-inch. Okay, it's the most versatile. It will still get bit really well, but it doesn't quite have the presence or the profile that the 4-inch does. So I don't blame you if you don't want to go with the absolute big dog, but it is the deal still. Okay, so one other bait. I got 2 of them in this package from the hookup. And this right here is the Tackle Blade Waker. This is a bait that that I have not given enough attention since I got it. I have 2 of them and I have fished them some, but not enough, right? So the Tackle Blade Waker is a unique bladed jig. So this guy bridges the gap between a chatterbait and a wake bait. So it's very interesting. You can reorient this blade so that it has 2 different actions on it. So this is the action as it is, which is in like chatterbait mode. So you've got what looks more like a traditional chatterbait orientation with the blade pointing up. You'll notice it's got that fire on the front of it. That's going to push water. This will stay down reasonably well in the water column. Then you can reorient the snap on this guy. Let's see if I can show you a little demonstration. Take the snap off. Probably gonna mess it up. And instead of being on the second hole, I believe what you do is just rig on the front hole. So then what happens is this bait is much more like so with the blade angle instead of like this. And all of a sudden, this thing is going to rise like a mofo and it's going to fish right on the surface and push a ton of water like a wake bait. So, two different actions out of a bladed jig here with a totally different style blade than the rest. But essentially, this is just a beautiful looking swim jig with a cool blade on the front of it. So it does have an interesting and relatively wide wobbling action to it um, due to that split ring connection and the wild shape of the blade that is bent in so many different ways. So, um, yeah, that is the Teckle Blade Waker. They have made updates and, shall I say, improvements to the jig in the hook as well as the skirts. So, um, yeah, pretty excited about just investing a little bit more into the Blade Waker. And now that I've got a few of them, um, just going to make a point to use it more next season since it's a bladed jig with a slightly different purpose than most. So, did pick it up in two colors, that Fire Craw and then a bluegill, which has a silver blade and then a multicolored skirt, but more like a matte silver type of blade. So these guys were on super sale as well, and I got suckered into purchasing them as part of the deal. So uh, that was really the reason there. The Blade Waker wasn't back on my radar by any means, but when you stumble across them and they're $6.99, um, you figure it's a JDM bladed jig for $6.99. Yeah, I'm gonna do it, right? So that's what happened. About half of the package that I got was impulse. Maybe not half of the value of the box, but yeah, that was my Black Friday slash Cyber Monday package from the Hookup Tackle, utilizing that $100 gift card that I had gotten from the purchase of my St. Croix Victory rod, plus, of course, maybe another 40 or 50 bucks. So, yeah, I'm pumped about it. Let me know what you guys think about that package, what you think was perhaps the coolest thing in that order. And then let's just talk generally for a little bit longer, hang out tonight. I know it's Monday night, so I understand if you guys can't hang out and chat for all that much longer, but hopefully my internet doesn't trip out on us. My computer's doing silly things. The internet just totally dropped out on me, and now the internet, the computer's wanting to do automatic updates. So let's hope that we're good for now. Bruce says the St. Croix that you picked up is a damn nice looking rod. Yeah, man, I'm pretty excited about it too. Like I said, that's going to become kind of my go-to bladed jig rod, uh, and something that I'm pretty excited about the action on it. For me, that's a very versatile setup for really most moving baits and for a pretty wide range of crankbaits in that medium bordering on deeper diving range, which for me was a kind of a void because I've got my shallow diving crankbait set up pretty dialed, but not as much for uh, bigger crankbaits and for more medium diving crankbaits, but something that would bridge the gap between a um, a cranking stick and a bladed jig rod. So I'm excited about that. Carl says you did good. I appreciate it, Carl. Matt says looks like a good amount of stuff. Did you get that Issei gill flat swimmer? I did not. That was one that like last minute kind of pulled out of the, I was weighing the different options, looking at the Birkin swimmers at $10 a pop, looking at the, mag slows at $7 a pop. It was all such good deals, but it adds up quick. That gill flat swimmer was like $30 on sale. So, I didn't pull the trigger on that guy. I was tempted, and it is still technically on my radar. It's been going kind of in and out for me. It's one of those baits for me right now. So I understand you asking, but no. Carl says I like the IMA. Yeah, the Glide Fluke. I mean, can you imagine for 13 bucks? This guy is a really good deal as it is. I think retailing at like 20 or low 20s, but this is a very interesting bait. Comes in some super cool color patterns and is just different than most other baits in its class. So I agree. Really cool purchase in the order. I'm with you. Joe Cool. I am located in Colorado, and yeah, I don't necessarily have a favorite lake, so I'm not going to give you a direct answer to that because I live in the greater Denver metro area, and I do a lot of urban fishing. So, not trying to mention really many of the places that I fish at this point in time, but Denver metro area is where I fish. Um, I grew up a fly fisherman and still am an avid fly fisherman for trout here in Colorado. Um, but I got the bass fishing bug some 6 or so years ago and have gone way down that rabbit hole. So um, feel free to join me and all of us any given time if you want to talk all things fishing. But Tennessee Bassmaster, I have not tried the bottle shrimp by Megabass. To me, that looks a little bit too nichey of a bait. I could see myself Nico rigging that bait, or free rigging it, or maybe throwing it as a jig trailer. But it hasn't spoken to me enough. I I've heard enough good things about it to where it's come on to my radar, but I just haven't tried it yet. I'll just say that. Matt says, yeah, it was $20 originally, 29. Oh, originally 29, but it was down to 20. Okay. It is a big bait for a gill bait, 2.5 ounces, 5 inches. Yeah, no, I didn't avoid it because it's a big gill bait. In fact, that kind of appealed to me, but it was more just how much I would actually use the bait, and I saw myself using the Burrican swimmers and the mag slows more than I would that gill flat swimmer. So that's just what it came down to. Was a combination of the price and just the practicality of the whole situation, right? I mean, when you add it up, you get two Burrican swimmers or one of those and two of the mag slows for really the same price as one of those gill flat swimmers. And I can't help but think that way sometimes, just still trying to find value where I can. Tennessee Bassmaster says, have you fished Dillon Reservoir? Went there on vacation. It was pretty. I have fished there before. It's a good place to fish, especially for lake trout. Everything up in the mountains is awesome for lake trout. Um, Really, most species of trout, but also can be good for walleye and pike and muskie as well. Can be pretty good around here. So yeah, Dillon Reservoir is beautiful for sure. Can't miss it because you kind of have to drive right by it and around it anytime you're heading up to the mountains, which I do frequently. Uh, Matt says, Tyler, did you see those Flash Union swim baits? The floating paddle tail bait. I feel like yes, I did, but you're gonna make me jog my memory. Oh yeah, I totally did, dude. Those were in my cart. All right. Yep, definitely thought about those. Had them in my cart. They were a screaming deal, and just didn't. Had to rule them out at the last second. My cart was like 250, pushing 300, and I was wanting to make purchases elsewhere, which ultimately I didn't do. And I guess I'm kind of happy about it because I didn't overspend. during Black Friday. But yeah, I didn't get those baits, man. Carl says, long, deep rabbit hole. I'm going to get my practice fly rod out. Time to hit the river soon. Nice. Yeah, it is time to hit the river soon. It's about that time of year where the trout, the cold water fish come out to play. Chicken fried steak has never done fly fishing. Well, there's always a time to try, right? It's interesting because I kind of went the opposite route. Well, not opposite, but in fly fishing that I did with bass fishing. Fly fishing, I didn't know any better. Um, just, my dad got me into it, right? And so fishing high quality gear is just all I've ever known. And so all of my fly fishing stuff is top end. Whereas with bass fishing, I've gotten into it later in life and really wanted to go down the rabbit hole and explore different techniques and understand that I've got to have kind of a whole variety of setups to try different things out. So, yeah, I put money into the hobby slower, but more surely, and in a slightly different way than with fly fishing. Fly fishing, I've got less stuff, but it's higher end, and I've gotten more into tie fly tying than lure making. But dude, fly fishing is it's a sweet sport too, man. Megabass, like a spicy scent. I kind of agree with that. Does kind of sting the nose a little bit. Hmm. Yeah, Matt, those were definitely a steal. I didn't know that DRT did a collab with that company. It's called the Clone. $110 compared to 14. Really? Jesus, dude. That's ridiculous. Any Loomis fly rods? No. I use Sage rods more than anything, but I've got a few other rods. We can go down the rabbit hole that is fly rods and reels at some point, but I feel kind of guilty talking about my setups and my gear when it comes to fly fishing because it's not super relatable, right? Like I said, it's all top end stuff. So the rods are pushing $1,000. The reels are 500 to $1,000. The waders are $600. It just makes me feel guilty talking about it because they're big investments, but it's different than having a boat and a few dozen setups and $10,000 worth of tackle. It's just a different ball game when you're wading in the river and you're only bringing a couple of setups max. So, holy cover scat, says Tennessee Bassmaster. Yeah. Yeah, Carl, I hear you. Sticking with jigs first. That is a great place to start. I found that as I started to get into fly tying, that it was super practical for me to just transition to tying marabou jigs. Um, it just getting really creative with the different styles of jigs that I was making. So, like, here's a really wild and big marabou jig that is pink and purple marabou in the tail, right? So, super fluffy, first of all. Um, Now, this will compress in the water and look quite a bit more bait fishy, but before this is wet, this thing is super puffed out. And you'll notice I tied the front of it just like it's a woolly bugger. And yeah, that's a pretty cool one. And I've just gone with some more synthetic hairs with rubber strands on like mushroom style Ned jig heads. and then you can get real moppy with it. Here's another mushroom style jig head, but I did a finesse cut skirt that's all flat rubber, brown and orange, and then went pretty heavy on the marabou in the main part of the skirt as well, with both brown and orange. So, um, yeah, it's fun to really fiddle around with jigs and the endless number of combinations, especially when you're adding things like hair in there. Yeah, you can really play around. So, yeah, I've gone down that rabbit hole as well, and you guys saw that in the off season last year. I should give away a bunch of the jigs that I made. I gave away some at one point, but definitely need to do more of that. And it's cool to have some that are just, straight marabou jigs. Like, you would pay what, 3 4 5 bucks for a jig like this, and this is pretty basic, right? But the real star of a jig like this is the fact that this is made on a Gamakatsu round ball jig head with a 90-degree line tie, and this is just one of my favorite hooks and jig heads for this style of um for this application. So I've got this guy in brown and orange, and then went with the same thing in a straight pink, super puffy, and yeah, just almost intentionally go overboard with the marabou on that guy so that it's going to puff out like crazy, right? And when you think about it, this is going to compact quite a bit when it's wet, but when this thing's dry and as it's floating through the column, this thing is going to have a tremendous amount of action. So there are some techniques that I've used with these to make them fluffier, and we could talk about that sometime, Caro, if you'd like, in just how you layer the marabou to get it to really flare out like that. But in my opinion, it is super practical to tie your own jigs, even if it's just super simple, just like a black marabou hair jig that you're going to throw a lot. You're going to run through a bunch of these. But if you want to use a specific hook that you like, and if you want to make little modifications like, the flash and the wrap, as well as the material that you use for the feather, um, tying your own jigs can be an awesome hobby and rabbit hole to go down. So glad to hear that you guys like some of the jigs. You like it. You like it. Nice colors. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, marabou can be irritating, and it is a mess. No doubt about that. Um, Yeah, so that was the other thing that I was going to mention to Caro, is that not just tying your own jigs, but tying your own feathered treble hooks um, is something that can save you a lot of money and add to just a lot of interesting flair when it comes to top waters, jerk baits, um, uh, some swim baits, other things like that, where a feathered treble hook can come into play. um, a feather treble is the deal, and they're super easy to learn. So I've got a box full of them upstairs in my office with all of my flies and some of my fly tying stuff. So I'll show you guys that stuff again soon. I showed you the way back when I first tied a batch of probably 20 or more feathered trebles, and I've hardly dipped into those this season. So uh, yeah, tying feather trebles can be a really cool thing to do, especially if you're goofing around with different colors of feathers. So like a chartreuse and white or a pure black feathered treble can be really cool things to do where you wouldn't ordinarily see that kind of thing. So same with just a straight pink feathered treble um, can be a cool thing to do. So anyway, um, am I gonna try any of the new Gen 5 Revos? I don't know about that. I'm definitely not rushing to do so, but I like to keep an open mind. I'm not the type of person who goes above and beyond or way out of my way to try out all the latest and greatest gear when it comes to rods and reels. I Even though I'm a tackle junkie, it's more about baits than it is about rods and reels for me. I don't see much value or interest in having those stockpiling in a box as I do with baits. Um, I find that I still enjoy looking at baits and reminding myself to try something different and also to share knowledge and share the wealth and give away stuff to other people. I don't do that as much with rods and reels. It's just a different ball game, different conversation, uh, in my opinion. But that's just me, you know. Michael Romero, what's happening? Indeed, have I tried the game changer for bass fly fishing? No, and I don't even know what that is. What is the game changer? Guys, I gotta pee. I'm gonna mute you so that you don't hear the clicking in the sound while or the background while I'm gone. But I need to pee. I'll be right. I'm back. I'm back. What's up? Just like Debo, I had to go pee. Yeah, sorry about that. You know what can you do? It's a multi-sectional fly that acts like a swim bait. You have to check them out. So what'd you call it again? The game changer. So it's just a multi-segmented fly. Let's check it out. Game changer bass fly. Oh, okay. So I have seen them, for sure. Sorry that I acted like I didn't know what you were talking about, but I did. I've seen them before for sure. So let's go ahead and pull it up so everybody can see what we're talking about. Um, they are definitely interesting. Not necessarily something that I would use all that frequently. You can see here that It is an expensive and relatively big fly. $17 for a fly, but this thing is big, right? Let's see. Holy shit, dude. 5 inches, size 4/0 hook with a size 2 hook behind it. So this is a really, really big fly. Um, I'm not going to eat that thing. Maybe a giant brown trout or a lake trout. Um, but typically, where I'm fly fishing, I'm not targeting big deep water fish like that. So it's a different ball game, right? I don't know that that would even be so much of a bass fishing lure unless you're fishing it relatively high in the water column. But yeah, I could see that being an awesome saltwater bait for sure for bigger fish. You'd have to throw that on a really heavy fly fishing setup, like a 7 or 8 weight, probably. I can't imagine how heavy that thing is. Um, I really uh woolly bugger in like a size 2 is about as big as I go. So, a size 4/0 is ridiculous in my mind. I'm here in Colorado, we throw small flies. So, like a size 6 to a size 12 would be standard for like a streamer, for a woolly bugger that we're stripping and using in that same way that you would use the game changer. So a much smaller presentation than what you get out of that 5 inch bait, right? I'm throwing something that's maybe a 1 inch bait. So totally different ball game. What you were just talking about is even bigger than these guys that I'm showing here. These are not even 3 inches in length. So 5 inches is an absurdly big and long fly, but that thing looks beautiful. And I would imagine would work wonders on a ton of different saltwater species of fish. But if you had the right setup, it could probably smash bass too, depending on the situation and the body of water that you're fishing at. So Riley says she's going to get out of here, get some rest. Riley, get well, please. Heal up. All right. You definitely need the rest. So sorry to hear about the accident that you and your mom were in. We will all be praying for you and your mom, but especially for your back to heal up as quickly as possible. Thank you for hanging out. Have a great rest of your night. And if I don't see you before the holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and talk to you soon, Riley. Okay. So, guys, do you have any questions or any baits, anything specific that you want to talk about before we, more or less start to wrap this up for the evening? Um, I've had a fair amount on my mind, but really haven't had an opportunity to get out and fish a lot as of late. Um, if I were, I would be fishing a jig and a drop shot, maybe a wobble head, probably a blade bait, and or a rattle trap. Um, maybe a Ned rig or a Nico rig, and maybe lastly like an underspin or a tail spinner or something of the sort. But generally, slow moving, smaller presentations that are going to resemble small bait fish that are either in big schools or slightly bigger baits that will stand out in a big school of small bait. Um, spinner baits and especially Alabama rigs can be great this time of year, but are not necessarily a bait that I have a ton of confidence in. Last year I did catch a couple of fish on this bait right here. This is the dang, I don't even remember what this rig is called. One of you guys might have to help me out with this. But this is a spinnerbait slash a rig combined, and it's very interesting what you actually get out of this deal. So you get the four spinner blade arms, and then you get essentially just a swim jig behind it that I like to run a trailer hook on. So this guy can be killer. Was for me this time last year in colder water, but I don't throw bladed rigs or a rigs like this very often. That said, I'm not opposed to it, and definitely do plan to get more accustomed with the technique more moving forward. Matt says, "What the hell is that?" This who does make this? Dude, I'm gonna find out. Um, I thought it was made by Booyah, but I don't think it is. How do I can't find it right now. Uh, can anybody in the stream tell me what bait this is? I oh wait. Um, Booyah. No, I thought it was maybe. Maybe it's Yum. Um, but isn't popping up for some reason. Wow, you're just gonna watch me do research right now. I'm gonna freaking find this thing. Um, or I'll just sit here and do research for 10 minutes and you guys will watch me and I'll leave me because I won't find it. So I bought this at Sportsman's Warehouse, I believe. And it's almost like it's the Flash Mob Junior, but it's totally not. Um, so, ow, that trailer hook just got me. So let me spread this out again so you guys can see the swim jig portion of it. What does that head scream to you? That head and hook. I mean, it's not stellar. Is that Lunkerhunt? Is that Booyah? Is that Yum? Is it None of the above. I mean, it's one of those, you know. I swear it's yum. Uh, but I'm not totally sure what it's not Picasso, I don't think. Wow, I got myself better than I thought there. I was just bleeding everywhere. Didn't realize it. Dude, I don't know how I don't know what that is. It's not the Flash Mob Junior. Dude, I'm sorry, Tim. I should know, guys, on and I'll tell you when I figure out what the hell it is. Um, maybe it's discontinued. You're right. But my point was I've only dabbled in a rig style baits. Uh, I've thrown the Flash Mob Junior a few times. And the problem with it, I've caught a few fish on it, but then I've also lost one on like the second cast using it. So I've had mixed results, and because I fish from the shore, the vast majority of the time, it's hard for me to retrieve a bait like an A rig. So uh, I really have to have a tremendous amount of confidence in the area that I'm fishing, that it's a fairly open water situation where that bait's not going to get hung up. And yeah, there's a time and a place for it that can and will definitely work for me that I need to take advantage of. Um, but I haven't all that much, only a handful of times. And so hopefully moving forward, I will do more of that, but we'll see. Tennessee Bassmaster, it is not live target. No, dude. Matt says, I wanted to try the Amakatsu Helter Twister, which is kind of similar. Yeah, I know nothing about the Helter Twister. Booyah Boo teaser rig? Maybe. No, the teaser rig goes in front of stuff. Um, the teaser rig is different, and I've got some of those too. Um, in fact, I gave a bunch of them away like a year or two ago. So, holy shit! So this is the Booyah teaser rig, and I believe it was discontinued. But yeah, the the Booyah spin rig and the teaser rig were very similar. So you'll notice that head shape that does kind of remind me of this guy right here. Let's see if we can get another shot at this. I don't know if that's totally the same, but the Booyah spin rig and the teaser rig are meant to go in front of. So this acts as a weight, this little jig head, and then you get these spinner blades and a snap that then you snap on a lure to, so that you could fish this um, as a deep tracer style rig, where then all of a sudden you've got weight and can fish another bait down deeper than ordinarily would be the case. Um, or you can just fish this like you've got a school of bait in front of the bait that you're using. So, yeah, interesting, but I don't think this is the teaser rig itself. I have not tried the covert spinner bait. Nope, I'm not the guy to talk about spinner baits with. Um, I want to say I've got probably one or two Booyah spinner baits, but I don't know jack about different spinner baits and the different vibrations, the subtleties of one spinner bait over another. You think it's called the Booyah Boo Rig? Okay, so it could be, but either way, you'll notice that this has a bunch of blades, and then a swim jig with a hook. This is a lure that you tie on. You tie on up here, and then it's got the wire arms and a swim jig on the back. So just one hook and an additional 4 relatively big willow blades that are out in front of this thing. So pretty cool bait that I've gotten bit on a number of times and quite like. So it's just not the easiest to always stay tuned correctly. Okay. So we've been on for an hour and 42 minutes. Pretty normal time. I'm happy with it, but it feels like sometimes it feels like a good night, and sometimes it feels like, well,